So the next movie we're going to be talking about is another Marmite movie, in my humble opinion, and this is F1, starring Brad Pitt, Damsen Idris, Javier Bardem. It was directed by Joseph Kosinski, who probably most notably did Top Gun Maverick a few years ago. It was produced, though, by Jerry Bruckheimer. We kind of grew up on his movies in the 90s, things like The Rock, stuff like that. I used to work with his partner, Don Simpson, who died, but Bruckheimer's still going. So this is basically, as I said, it's a Marmite movie because it's kind of it's getting called a dad movie. It is kind of an old-fashioned movie in that sense now. You know, like I said, Bruckheimer's known for his stuff in the 90s, sort of big bombastic films like Armageddon and things like that. This is kind of bombastic in its way, but it's about Formula One racing. So in the past, what we've seen things like Rush with Chris Hemsworth. Yeah. Racing movies, I mean, it makes me think of real old stuff like Steve McQueen, you know, and Paul Newman, people like that, you know, Le Mans, and different things like that.
The classics.
And that's why I think it's getting called a dad movie as well, because, you know, it is possibly a little bit old-fashioned. But having said that, having watched it, I found it to be quite exciting film. It is basically, it's a race movie. So, you know, it's that old... Days of Thunder was the other one I was thinking of, the Tony Scott film with
yes,
Tom Cruise. So it's that whole idea of, you know, well, Brad plays the over-the-hill guy. You know, he's a little bit older by the time we catch up with him in this story, but he's had former glory days. And he used to race with Javier Bardem in a team years before, and Bardem goes to him and says, look, we need to get a couple of points just so we don't get absolutely, you know, I'm going to lose the team, everything's going to go to shit. I need your help. Can you come in and finish the season with my rookie? So there we go. We're into it then, and it's race after race after race, so there's a lot of rinse and repeat in this. But if you're in any way into motorsport or Formula One, I think they did a very, very good job here of getting the verisimilitude right. It really felt very much like you were in the cockpit of the Formula One cars. I felt like they did it for real. There wasn't any CGI to be seen. This was all like real cars racing on real tracks, you know, with a lot of fantastic set dressings and set designs. You felt like the crowds were really there. You had lots of the real Formula One drivers pepper in the background, so it felt like you could be tuning in on a Sunday and seeing these guys, you know, in the pit and stuff. But yes, very much. The old dog is brought in to teach the new dog some old tricks or something like that, and sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's Brad, isn't it? You know, and
oh, good old Brad. You can't beat Brad.
one thing you can say about this film was it was financially successful. It did do well at the box office, so the dads turned out for Brad. Brad is a dad. Brad.
Brad is a dad.
Brad dad. So they came out for it, and so much so that apparently they are going to make a sequel to this.
F2.
F2. That's so good. I think the big rumpus about it was it's also been shortlisted for best films. We're going to be covering them a bit later on in the podcast, talking about the Oscars. I think a lot of people, even myself actually, was surprised to see this shortlisted as best film material. I mean, it was fun. It was a great kind of, you know, action movie, a lot of speed, a lot of sort of, you know, that kind of Formula One action, but you wouldn't think it was up there with some, you know, like something like Hamnet, which we're going to be talking about in a minute, you know. What do you say?
Yeah,
where'd you land on this one?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest surprise. I mean, we came into this because we saw it was like, oh, it's been nominated for Best Picture. And that really, I think, took everyone by surprise. It was like, really?
Mm.
You know, and like a blockbuster action movie, you know?
Mm.
So that was quite surprising. But conversely, it made me watch it. because I probably would have passed on it otherwise, because I'm not the biggest Formula One person or anything like that. So, not to say I don't like a good racing movie, but it's not my top thing.
No.
But I agree with the sentiment as well. That I don't think it really is a Best Picture nomination film. Really, it's a bit strange, but who knows what?
It's a bit like a sandwich filler, isn't it?
Yeah.
For that
However,
category.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I can see why it took loads of money. I mean, it's weird people giving it shit and saying, "Oh, it's a dad movie, it's old-fashioned," and all these things. When, look, frankly, things like Fast and Furious come out every couple of years and are super successful at the box office with a wide-ranging age of audience. People like a good action film or racing film or something with that energy. Now, there's terrible versions of a action or it's something that's high energy, something like that Ambulance that we covered a few years ago, which is a pile of dog shite. But when it's done well, it can be really good. Mentioning Jerry Bruckheimer, I think the stuff in the 90s is so much better than a lot of the stuff that gets put out now in this category because of reasons. So, and this did feel in that vein. I'd say it looked fantastic. Obviously the special effects and stuff going on, but because they've done so much for real as well, the blending and everything was just fantastic. So it looked great. The sound design was excellent as well. That really stood out for me. I was like, the music and the sound design were just brilliant. I think it might win awards in that category. Brad was Brad. He's great. The rest of the cast are great. It was good fun.
Sonny Hayes. What a name.
Sonny Hayes.
They even do that joke at some point. Is it Sonny? Is it Hazy?
No, it's just Misty over the track. I mean, there's obviously it's a tale as old as anything. Like, it's the most obvious story. There's nothing.
It's an underdog story. It's exactly that.
And, they have an accident. He goes out and on his behalf, and they have their little macho rivalry and all that, all the standard stuff. But it works. It's great,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, very enjoyable. But as you said, the thing that got me the most was, I was like drawing myself into the screen, just like, oh, is he going to win the race? Is he going to win the race? I was invested in it. I'm like, he's moved up to 8. And because it was all that kind of, they were the underdogs, so they're doing like these underhanded things, like to win the races. Like they weren't conventionally the best. So they're like, how can we do this with the tyres? How can we knock them off? How can we time the tyre changes and stuff like this? They were doing all these clever tactical stuff, which I kind of enjoy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It became more about that and like, can they do it? And so it's like, it became really fun for that. So it does draw you in and you're like, I'm up for this. So fantastic job of it, actually, I think.
Yeah, and I thought the drama was good as well. The whole relationship that Brad has with Damsen Idris, the younger guy. He's kind of like a Lewis Hamilton style character, isn't he? He's British and young and just starting out. Funnily enough, Lewis Hamilton was a producer on the film as well, so I think that added a lot of, like I say, verisimilitude to it all. That he was able to get a few of the other guys in the background, and it just, obviously had some drivers in that could do the actual. Because you have to really know what you're doing to be driving at 200 plus miles an hour in these basically like a jet engine on wheels, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're not gonna let Brad Pitt just go racing around. Although he probably did do some driving, it was a bit like Tom Cruise, isn't it? I'm going to fly the plane myself. Well, probably did a bit of that in this. But as I say, the drama worked. It was that kind of, and there was the romantic interest with Kerry Condon was in there. She was very entertaining. She was part of the pit crew and stuff, and her and Brad have a little fling, of course. In that way, it was kind of old fashioned. There was all the formulas. Very much a lads movie in a lot of senses, but yeah, I agree with you. It worked. It had me invested. I watched it twice. I watched it once, thinking, no, I'm going to check this out and see if it's as bad as that, and really enjoyed it. And then watched it again with a friend who I knew would enjoy this kind of thing, and they did. So Yeah, I've seen it twice. Don't think it'll win Best Picture. Be a big shock if it did.
Imagine it. Imagine it.
There would be people rioting, I think, if it won Best Picture. But as you said, may win some technical categories, and if it does, it's brilliant. I'm all for that. So, if you like this kind of film, if you were into that kind of thing, your Paul Newmans, your Steve McQueen's of yesteryear, then definitely check out F1 if you haven't already, because it is quite a ride.
Thanks very much for watching this video, we really appreciate it. The best way to support this channel is by dropping us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. This video was sponsored by funkyt-shirts.co.uk. Check out their website for a full range of awesome t-shirt designs. You can find all the links in the description.